organisation called Acres of Love, which is based in South Africa, of course. And she started as a volunteer with Acres of Love 10 years ago in Southern California, okay, in the United States, obviously. Her involvement and commitment has grown deeper, and she's now an emissary and board member for that organisation. She's inspired hundreds of people to join her in her efforts to financially support 3 Acres of Love Forever homes, and her passion is speaking on behalf of the children and inviting others to join her in this work. Being involved with Acres of Love has completely transformed her family. Kim and her husband have 3 biological daughters and 1 son who they adopted from South Africa 2 years ago. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, with your hearts and with the most compassion you can find to support the Herbalife Family Foundation and Acres of Love, please welcome on stage Kim Campbell!
Really a privilege to be here among all of you this morning, and to thank Herbalife Family Foundation for their ongoing partnership with Acres of Love, for caring for some of South Africa's most vulnerable children. I just want to thank you for the commitment and the impact that you've made. Thank you. I believe yesterday your CEO, Michael Johnson, spoke to you a little bit about Acres of Love and showed you a video, so I hope you got some indication of the work that we're doing. But I wanted to follow up with you today with a little bit more information. At Acres of Love, we're really on the front lines of the orphan crisis here in South Africa. And every child that comes in really comes in with their own tragic story that often includes death of their parents, loss, abandonment, neglect, severe trauma, abuse, physical and sexual abuse, severe medical needs. So your partnership with us really helps us to, meet the needs of those children, both nutritionally, spiritually, as a whole, to help us really get these children to be restored and renewed, and to help them meet their God-given potential. So we thank you for that. We've been partners in this work, Herbalife and Acres of Love, since 2006, so for 9 years. You've been a huge part of the work that we do. There's about 3.8 million orphans in South Africa. So in 1998, South Africans Ryan and Gerda Adenati were living in Johannesburg, raising their 4 children, doing very well in business, and they're sending their kids to private school, talking about where they were going to go on their next holiday. And they were starting to really just take note of the orphan crisis around them. And doing what most of us do, questioning the government and questioning the church and questioning other people, asking, what is someone going to do about this orphan crisis? And they really felt like God spoke to them and said, what are you going to do about the orphan crisis? So at that time, they decided to get licensed to open up their first children's home, which they did in Johannesburg, and they brought in 6 children on one day. They actually traveled a couple hours, probably about an hour away from Johannesburg, to a hospital called Speach Hospital, where they took the first 6 children from that facility. And in fact, I had the opportunity to go to Speach Hospital just a few days ago, which was very impactful for me to see the before picture of where a lot of our children come from, and the devastation and the suffering that these children are enduring, these innocent victims of cycles of poverty. And I was able to walk through all of the children's wards, spend some time in the neonatal unit. And I'll tell you that that evening back in my hotel room, I cried harder than I have in a long time. because I won't soon forget the images of those children in their cribs, alone, oftentimes without any parents ever coming to see them. They're oftentimes just left there in those beds for months and months on end, with improper care, improper medical devices and nutrition and things. It was very, very heartbreaking and very hard to see. But an important part of the work that we do to understand where these children come from, and now working with Acres of Love, being able to see where they are headed and the hope that they have. So that first day, Ryan and Herda took 6 children out of that hospital, put them on their laps, and drove back to their home in Johannesburg, wondering what in the world they had just done to get home and have everyone crying and needing to bath and get dressed and have food, and it was just overwhelming, and it was there for a while. But quickly, Ryan and Herda, who are entrepreneurs really at heart and servants of God, realized the importance of a family model for these children. So they really wanted to move away from anything that was institutional. They really wanted to provide a family unit for these children. So they live in upper middle class neighborhoods, in beautiful homes with lovely furniture and decorations. Just the love is in those details for those children, to raise them in a beautiful environment. And they have opportunities to go to the best schools and receive the best medical care in the country, and excellent nutrition thanks to Herbalife, and ongoing therapy, and schooling, at best education. So these children are really given the most incredible opportunity to turn their lives around, to be fully restored, and hopefully one day go back into the community, be the ones to make the difference and turn things around for the orphan crisis. So I know that, sometimes the statistics can be so overwhelming. 3.8 million children. What on earth can I possibly do, or can one organization do to make a dent in 3.8 million children? But we just feel it's incredibly important to say yes to whatever God puts in front of us at the moment. So whatever child is brought to Acres of Love, we go to the ends of the earth for that child. We say yes to everything that they need, and we trust for the provision. So we now have 28 homes in the Johannesburg and Cape Town area. We're currently caring for 167 children, although we just met a baby last week, so on Tuesday we'll be at 158 children that we'll be caring for. But I would love to share a story with you of just one child, because like I said, every child comes in with their own story. And so I'd love to share with you just one story to kind of illustrate the picture of what happens along the way and the difference that you're helping to make. So I'll tell you the story of a little girl named Bongi, who I have known and loved for 10 years. She came to Acres of Love when she was about 8 years old. She had been living in a township with her baby sister. Her parents had died. She was left alone, and she was caring for her sister. They were placed into the care of an uncle who really didn't want to care for them, and he really felt like it was a burden to look after these 2 girls. And Bongi was sick, and she had these little bumps all over her body, and anytime she would express any kind of need, the uncle would just become furious with the burden, and he would beat her and lock her outside of the shack, force her to do the laundry out in the cold in the winter at night and sleep outside. Well, soon someone in the community took notice and called a social worker, and someone was brought in, and they rescued Bongi from that situation and brought her to Acres of Love. And on the day that she arrived to Acres of Love, she was placed into a home with 6 or 7 other children who now are her family. She was a tiny little thing. In fact, the other day I was with her, and she was very proud to show off her little tiny skirt that she wore at 8 years old, and her little pink tattered shoes that she came in, and she just had these bumps all over her body. We didn't really know what was wrong. So we took her to the doctor. We work with one of the best specialists in the world, really, for HIV. Took her to the doctor. It turned out she had full-blown AIDS and stage 4 cancer. An opportunistic cancer called Kaposi sarcoma. So you can imagine she was incredibly sick. And we were worried about putting her through for chemotherapy for her cancer because her immune system was so compromised from the HIV status. But the doctor that we worked with said that he had seen so many miracles happen at Acres of Love that he was going to refer her for the chemotherapy. So we started her right away. She did 2 rounds of chemotherapy and was very sick, very weak. She was in a hospital, in a coma, on a morphine drip, and they really just didn't think that she was even going to make it through another night. So our CEO flew from California back to South Africa to be with her and to be with the staff who were caring for her and the brothers and sisters, just kind of walk them through that time. And she felt like when she was coming over here on the airplane, she really felt like God told her that Bongi did not come to Acres of Love to die, but to live. And that doctors don't have the final word. God does. Relieved the staff who were exhausted, laid hands on this little girl, prayed for her, and within hours she was sitting up, eating yogurt, drinking juice, clicking the remote of the TV, was out of the hospital in a couple of days. We registered her for school, and she's been on the road to recovery ever since. She is the only known survivor in the world of full-blown AIDS and stage 4 cancer. Full remission of her cancer, and her HIV status is undetectable. So I want you to understand, as you celebrate that your efforts at Herbalife ensured that she received a healthy diet and proper nutrition, and that had a huge impact on her medical procedures and her recovery. So I want to thank you for that. Without that, who knows where Bongi would be today. So thank you. I just want to express to you, and I hope that you'll really take this to heart, that you and I, as well as the CEO and the managers and the house parents and the social workers and everyone that's involved with Acres of Love, the volunteers, we're all a part of this work. We're a team together. This is a partnership. So I really want you to understand what a difference you're making. It is such a privilege to do this work. It really is. It's certainly transformed my life, my family's life, my community's life. Everyone who comes into contact with Acres of Love is really changed because it is just such a supernatural, there's such supernatural favor on this organization. So I'm excited for you to understand that you're a part of it. And I'm excited to see what unfolds for you now that you know more about it. But I just want to say thank you so much for your partnership in doing this work with us. And I want us to try to remember that this is a privilege that we've all been given to be involved with this work. And I want us to promise to never take it for granted, and that we should count our blessings every day because we are so blessed. So let's count our blessings every day, and let's remember to bless others because we've been blessed. And so I just want to thank you. Every day and really use our time and our talent and our treasure to be that blessing to other people, because that's what we're here for. And I just want to thank you once again on behalf of Acres of Love, to the Herbalife Family Foundation, and to all of you for being that blessing to our children at Acres of Love. Thank you.
Good morning, Herbalife. So isn't it great that we're here on our final day of the best extravaganza ever? And I think to share it with Acres of Love this morning is, there's no more fitting way than to begin our final day. So my thanks to you, my thanks to Acres of Love in every possible way. Folks, we were privileged enough on Thursday, myself, members of corporate and certain members of the press team, to visit a home of Acres of Love. And a more moving moment, a more moving experience I've yet to experience. It was absolutely heartwarming, doesn't even begin to describe it. I only wish I could have taken all of you into the home with us to share what we saw and the difference that we are making. So I'd like to thank you for your generous donations. And that's not just for the extravaganza, that's the build-up of the LDWs. There's so many events that we're involved in, that you're involved in, and guys, we are making a difference. We are changing people's lives and we are breaking down barriers, and for me that is the most amazing thing. So give yourself a round of applause. I'd like to take this opportunity just to ask press team, Jean, Kelly and Elizabeth, if she's here, to join me on stage. I understand we also have a special guest, and he's one of the directors of Acres of Love, David Potter. David, will you join me too, please?